Hey there, Dungeon Acid. Doing the RPG Day number 3. How to forge better plot threads in your D&D and other fantasy tabletop role-playing games. We have Dice Frog. Ooh, today it's a D12. I got a 6. And our miniature today is this fine miniature from Reaper. Reaper Bones line. And it is some kind of dark lord or dark evil dread knight of some kind. And it'll tie in to our discussion because he's going to represent the big bad. Now, the main problem with having the big bad come upon your players is that they might feel that this is the only thing that they can do or the only meaningful way they can interact with the story. That you have prescribed this plot thread for them, and there is nothing to do but follow along your path. The other name for that is railroading. Well, the irony is that plot threads themselves don't inherently cause railroading, and in fact are necessary to create a fun and interesting game. It's just how you use them. And I'm going to talk about 3 ways to make your plot threads more engaging, more interesting, and less railroady, I guess we'll say. So number 1, that's going to be that plot threads should be numerous. So it should not be, by the way, there's a big bad guy in the castle you guys have to kill. By the way, there's a big bad guy in the castle you guys have to kill. By the way, there's a big bad guy in the castle you guys have to kill. No, it should instead be, by the way, there's a big bad guy in the castle you guys have to kill, but there's also rumors that to the west, a strange and eerie mist has overtaken the roads, and the villagers there are going missing. There's also been talk down at the southern coasts of sightings of a great and terrifying sea creatures coming on land and attacking villages, and so on and so forth. So you create a number of numerous plot threads that allow your players to kind of decide which one they want to pursue, and you should always have the idea of, or go in your own way, forge your own custom plot thread. Like, I don't want to do any of this. I think we should, and then they just come up with it themselves, right? Now, this, you might just say, like, well, why don't you just do a sandbox? Well, because sandboxes are kind of boring if you run them as a pure sandbox, where these are all plot threads that exist within the sandbox, but the players have to discover them themselves. Unless you have a party that's very much like, hey, we haven't gone to the north yet, let's go up there and see what that's like. If they're not inherently that explorative, they might, even in the sandbox, just kind of sit around and be like, we don't really know what to do. They might be like, well, you want to go to the tavern? Right, that type of thing. So plot threads allow for, numerous plot threads allow for a sandbox with places prescribed for your characters to go to give them ideas about what they can do, and there's always that custom option. So plot threads should be numerous. They should also be, number 2, interconnected. Not only will this guy, the big bad in the castle, be its own plot thread, but perhaps there is a point of connection between it and the mysterious mists into which the villagers are disappearing. Perhaps this big Dread Knight guy is, in cahoots with a devil who is causing this incursion of the Shadowfell upon the mortal realm, and the mists are dragging people into an alternate dimension in the Shadowfell where they're getting stuck. So now, if they go to do the Mists kind of quest, if they follow that plot thread, they will find out more information about this plot thread, and vice versa. If they go and fight the big bad guy, but then they're like, they kill him, and then, come to find out after they kill him, he's in cahoots with this devil, and then you beef up the devil to be the next big bad guy. So interconnected plot threads allow for, number 1, to make your world seem more real because everything's connected, and 2, a more coherent storyline because as they do one plot thread, it garners more information about another. So they can just easily hop from one to another and build up what their characters know about the world. The third way to make your plot threads more interesting, more engaging, is that to make them, and this is kind of counterintuitive, but able to be left alone, um, and basically not required by your characters. So you don't want to basically force any of the plot threads upon the player characters. You can have consequences for not following up on them if they don't, for example, go and check out that those sea creatures invading and attacking villagers on the or villages on the coast. Then perhaps a village on the coast just gets wiped out. And you're like, hey, that village you've been to, it's gone now. There's no one there. It's burned to the ground, and the people are gone, presumed dead. And they could go investigate that further, and it could become its own plot thread in and of itself. But the point is that like there wasn't some guy who, if they don't go and if they don't go and solve that problem, who comes up to them and be like, "You guys, you haven't solved the problem of the people in the South. Like, why don't you come do it?" Or like, worse, if you somehow require the players to follow a certain plot thread through some story mechanism, like oh, you guys are kidnapped and you're stuck here, or something like that. While those can be interesting ways, I think, to start a campaign, I don't think that forcing players to follow any one particular plot thread makes it more engaging. It, typically if you tell the players to do something explicitly, they want to do it less. That's just human nature. I think players want to feel like they are getting one over on the DM, or just perhaps maybe that's a bit too harsh. That feel like they want that what they're doing is something they've come up with, and the solution that they're pursuing is something that they have uniquely agreed upon. So threads should be able to be let alone. You should be able to be like, you know what? I don't really care about the villages on the southern coast. Let's just not go down there. Or, more sensibly, if, the adventurers hear tell of like, hey, yeah, there are monsters attacking the villages on the southern coast, then they have the logical response of, great, thanks for telling me. I'll avoid the southern coast now. I don't want to go down there. There are monsters down there. So, anyway, those are the 3 ways to enhance your plot threads and to make them more engaging, and hope they help. Roll on.